Alright, let's get right into it. Welcome, directors and security personnel. I am your host, and this explainer briefing is going to cover the immediate operational threats and containment status of SCP-026. Look, as your designated explainer for this classified file, my job is to make sure you know exactly what we are dealing with here. We've got an anomaly that is as fascinating as it is absolutely deadly. Getting a firm grip on these parameters? It's literally critical to your survival. Let's dive in. Here is our agenda for today's boot up and file overview. We'll be hitting containment and object class, the spatial anomalies, esoteric graffiti phenomena, the unconscious subjects, and finally security incidents and risks. Short and sweet, this structured overview is going to make sure your teams do not repeat the tactical disasters of the past. A quick message. Accessing these archives requires Level 3 clearance. Ensure your credentials are up to date by hitting the subscribe button to stay informed on future containment breaches. Back to the video. Section 1. Containment and Object Class. So, SCP-026 is designated as a Euclid class anomaly. Now, for any green personnel sitting in on this briefing, this object class means its behavior cannot be unerringly predicted. It requires ongoing, active containment. We can't just lock this thing away, toss the key, and forget about it. Its internal mechanics remain highly unpredictable and, frankly, incredibly hostile to anyone going in unequipped. Our current containment protocols, they're straightforward, but they are absolute. The building has to remain securely locked and boarded up at all times. Zero unauthorized entry permitted under any circumstances, period. On top of that, we're running active alarm systems tuned specifically to catch civilian or external agency breaches. The place stays completely sealed unless we've got active, heavily sanctioned research going on inside. Moving on to Section 2, the spatial anomalies. The real nightmare of SCP-026 starts the second you cross the threshold. On paper, it's just a 3-story public school, built sometime in the mid-20th century. It was originally condemned after inspectors realized the physical floor plan completely failed to match the architectural blueprints. While the Foundation stepped in and locked down the site after a string of local disappearances, were traced straight back to this abandoned building. You really need to drill this into your operatives' heads. The physical exterior, it's a complete facade. On the outside, the dimensions are rigid, finite, and perfectly normal for a school. But inside, the space is vastly expanded, it is geometrically impossible and continuously shifting. It's like a giant puzzle box that never stops moving. And that internal geometry doesn't just sit still for you. We are talking about variable hallway lengths that stretch and contract right while you're looking at them, stairways that actually have a different number of steps depending on whether you're going up or down, room counts that fluctuate dynamically while our survey teams are trying to map the place out. Oh, and if you try to use the exterior fire escapes, they inexplicably drop you midway down an interior hall. In fact, the far ends of these hallways remain completely unreachable. No matter how long you walk, you just can't get there. Navigating this is a tactical nightmare. Your standard breach and clear tactics are completely obsolete here. Look at Note 026-A. This is vital for your tactical planning. At first, researchers thought, hey, maybe the building is just messing with our heads, right? Like some cognitive hazard making us think the halls were stretching. Nope, actually scratch that. Robotic exploration definitively verified that actual localized spatial distortions are happening. The physical space is literally mutating around our survey drones. No way around it. All right, Section 3, esoteric graffiti phenomena. So the inside of this place is covered in typical abandoned building graffiti, right? Gang signs, street art, the usual. But here's the kicker. This graffiti fades, reappears, and changes location constantly. The chalkboards do it too. And the subjects? They range from standard high school stuff, mathematics, literature, biology, to wild, highly advanced concepts. We're talking quantum entanglement, eugenics, and most alarmingly, highly classified Foundation data on other SCPs. One researcher literally found a chalkboard detailing classified intel, but when they developed the photos later, just a blank slate. This brings us to Note 026-B, and this is a massive operational hazard. Do not bring outside notepads, books, or loose documents into this facility, because they will disappear. And they don't just vanish into thin air, their text permanently integrates into the school's walls and chalkboards as brand new graffiti. Security personnel are strictly forbidden from bringing physical documents inside. The anomaly actively absorbs external info, and we absolutely cannot risk our classified operational data becoming part of the wallpaper. And amidst all those shifting equations and stolen documents, there's this one specific phrase the children use to sing. It manifests repeatedly across different surfaces inside the school. We've got no concrete explanation for its significance yet, but it definitely suggests a lingering, localized echo of the building's past. Kinda sends a chill down your spine, doesn't it? Moving to Section 4, the unconscious subjects. Our search teams regularly find unconscious people just scattered around the premises, mostly kids, ages 12 to 18, all wearing mid-20th century school uniforms. Astoundingly, some of these kids have been positively identified as former students and faculty. But here is the truly terrifying part. Some of these individuals vanished more than a decade after the school originally closed. We have zero idea how they ended up back inside SCP-026. Oh, and waking them up while they're inside the building? Completely impossible. Now, you might be wondering, why not just carry them out? Well, extraction is tactically useless. The biological reaction when you pull them out of SCP-026 is violently predictable. Step 1. Abrupt awakening from the coma state. Step 2. Severe agitation and psychological confusion. Step 3. Extremely rapid dehydration of all bodily tissues. And finally, advanced fatal decomposition. Any attempt to extract these subjects triggers this violent biological collapse. So yeah, we've recovered absolutely zero actionable intelligence from them. Which brings us to Section 5, Security Incidents and Risks. I really want you to pay attention to Incident Report 026-12. During a routine security check in the main foyer, Agent Malik fell asleep. When his partner found him, Malik had slipped into that exact same unwakeable coma state as the anomalous students. Let this be a strict warning to your patrols. Falling asleep literally anywhere on these grounds hits our personnel with the exact same primary anomalous effect. So, let's look at the comparative risk profile here. As we just went over, the unconscious civilians suffer rapid dehydration and death if you take them off the school grounds. But fortunately, Foundation personnel can be safely extracted. When they pulled Agent Malik out, he woke up abruptly in a state of high agitation for sure, but he survived. No rapid dehydration. What is consistent though is that Malik, and anyone else who falls asleep in there, reports experiencing the exact same dream of a mundane classroom setting while they were knocked out. I'm going to leave you with this final critical security failure to chew on. Note 026-C details that several Class D personnel, guys who were previously exposed to SCP-026 and who complained about those exact same classroom dreams, literally disappeared from locked Foundation control at a completely separate facility. They vanished, only to be found fast asleep deep inside the shifting architecture of SCP-026. So ask yourselves, if the perimeter is fully secured, how did this happen? It proves this anomaly can remotely abduct exposed personnel and drag them right back into its halls. Directors, your staff are never truly safe, even after they clock out. Keep your perimeters tight, keep your personnel awake, and ask yourself, who's really in control here? Dismissed. Alright, listen up everyone. You're in this room because you've either got level 4 clearance or you're operating directly under O5 command. Our objective today is absolutely critical. We're running through a zero-tolerance threat assessment of SCP-016. Now, I shouldn't have to say this, but this is not a drill. The stakes here, they literally could not be higher, so let's get right into it. Just so we're all on exactly the same page, here's what we're covering in this dossier. First, a Keter class threat overview. Then, we'll hit the mandatory containment protocols, followed by the pathogen's origin and baseline symptoms. After that, we're looking at stress-induced anomalous mutations. And finally, we'll review the transformative experimentation logs. Right, moving straight into Section 1, Keter class threat overview. Look, I need to make one thing perfectly clear right out of the gate. SCP-016 is wildly aggressive and it is highly adaptable. If this thing breaches containment, the consequences are absolute. It's a nightmare scenario. I want you to look at that number, 48. Keep it in your head. We have absolutely zero margin for error here, folks. If an outbreak happens, site security has exactly 48 hours to lock it down. If this infection isn't 100% neutralized within that incredibly tight window, the on-site nuclear device gets detonated, period. There are no extensions, there are no exceptions. You get 48 hours to fix it, or we wipe the site off the map. Which brings us to Section 2, Mandatory Containment Protocols. Because of those extreme stakes I just mentioned, our physical and operational procedures here are completely uncompromising. These specs right here, this is our baseline defense. SCP-016 has to be kept in a room no larger than 5 by 5 by 5 meters. The temperature inside has to be sustained at or below 0 degrees Celsius at all times. The pathogen itself stays in a petri dish, locked inside a containment cube under rigid biocontainment level 5 or BCL5 conditions. You do not even look at this thing without direct sign-off from level 4 or O5. If it gets on a surface, it can survive for up to 6 hours. In the air, you've got several minutes of active threat. Because of that, high-intensity UV light and orthophtaldehyde are strictly mandated for disinfection. Listen to me very carefully. You fail to follow a single protocol on this list, you're looking at immediate termination, or best case, a one-way ticket to Class D. Now, if all that physical containment somehow fails, we instantly execute the outbreak response sequence. Step 1, Code Sigma Lockdown. The containment plan goes into effect immediately. Step 2, On-site security. Suited up in full MOP gear, that's mission-oriented protective posture for anti-bio and anti-chem, they sweep the facility and terminate all infected personnel on site. And step 3, like we just talked about, if you hit hour 48 and it's still uncontained, we detonate the on-site nuke. Let me be unequivocally clear on this point. Nobody gets evacuated. Nobody. All right, Section 3, Pathogen Origin and Baseline Symptoms. Before we dig into its anomalous, Keter-class traits, we really need to understand how this thing acts biologically on a normal day. So SCP-016 is a bloodborne pathogen. We actually first recovered it from a mine worker down in a deep coal seam. What happened was, Patient 0 took an injury. It got contaminated with coal dust, and that inadvertently exposed his bloodstream to dormant spores. SCP-016 tore through the rest of the mining camp employees in no time, and well, it didn't stop there. It ended up infecting the CDC crisis team that was sent in to handle the epidemic. The Foundation had to step in, terminate everyone affected, bag Patient 0, and permanently collapse the mine shaft with explosives. Just completely seal it off. Now look at the timeline here. This pathogen is incredibly deceptive. The incubation period can be anywhere from a mere 24 hours to 2 full years. It just depends on how many other potential human hosts are hanging around. Phase 1 is frankly insidious. It perfectly mimics the common cold. We're talking itchy eyes, runny nose, a bit of a cough, maybe some body aches. It lulls the host into this false sense of security. But then, exactly 48 hours later, Phase 2 kicks in. It triggers a controlled hemorrhagic fever. The organism actually forces blood to aspirate in the lungs. Why? Because it creates this deadly aerosol effect when the host coughs, maximizing its airborne transmission. And then we hit Phase 3. Phase 3 is total, absolute systemic collapse. The host just crashes, bleeding profusely from literally every orifice in their body. Eyes, pores, mouth, everywhere. Their blood pressure skyrockets to levels we didn't even think were biologically possible. Seriously, hosts in this final stage have been documented projectile vomiting blood over distances exceeding 5 meters, all just to spread the contagion further. It leads to near-total exsanguination. And the real kicker, if by some absolute miracle the host actually survives that catastrophic blood loss, the pathogen just goes back to sleep. It returns to dormancy, and the whole incubation phase starts over. Moving on to Section 4, Stress-Induced Anomalous Mutations. Everything we just covered is bad enough, but SCP-016's Keter classification actually comes from how it responds to extreme high-level stress. That is where the real nightmare begins. We call this response the teratomorphic state. If the host is shoved into a high-stress, genuinely life-threatening crisis, the virus makes a calculated, anomalous decision. It completely stops its standard routine of rapid reproduction. Instead, it starts rapidly rewriting the host's very DNA, heavily overstimulating cellular division. You start seeing major physiological shifts within the first 24 hours, and within 2 weeks, complete bodily reconstruction. The pathogen forcefully mutates the host's physical form for one single reason: to survive whatever immediate environmental threat is trying to kill it. Of course, most hosts don't actually survive the mutation process, simply because the biological toll on the body is just way too extreme. It's a terrifying showcase of how adaptable SCP-016 really is. But this kind of extreme survival mechanism comes with a nasty side effect. Hosts that actually survive the transformation develop extreme aggressive urges. We're talking rabid animal levels of violence. We believe the virus essentially hardwires this rage into the host to ensure maximum physical contact, spreading the infection as far as possible. And don't forget, even though these mutated subjects aren't bleeding out from the hemorrhagic fever anymore, they are still highly infectious. Anyone they touch, anyone they bite, will go right into the standard, bloody, non-mutated infection process. Okay, Section 5, Transformative Experimentation Logs. we aren't just guessing about these mutations. Let's look at some of the empirical testing logs we pulled from Class D personnel. I want you to pay close attention to the divergent responses here. We took 2 different infected D-class personnel and put them through the exact same stress test. We locked them in their quarters and slowly flooded the rooms with water over a 24-hour period. Look at subject D0161. To survive drowning, the virus literally mutated the guy's lungs into functioning gills. It turned his limbs into fins, his eyes atrophied, and he even developed cetacean-style echolocation, a total aquatic adaptation. Now compare that to D0162. Faced with the exact same rising water, the virus in this guy opted for pure brute force. It triggered rapid bone and muscle growth, specifically isolating his knuckles, so he could try to physically smash his way through a reinforced steel containment door. It's the same crisis, but the virus came up with 2 completely different, extreme physiological countermeasures. Let's take a look at the wider experiment matrix. Subject D0163 was also flooded, but instead of gills or brute strength, this one grew an entirely new chest organ with separate tubes and sacs containing acetylene gas and oxygen. The virus literally evolved a biological cutting torch inside him. Then you have D0164, our control. We didn't apply any stress, just told the guy to really concentrate on trying to form wings, and nothing happened. The virus didn't feel physically threatened, so it didn't react. The guy just bled out and died normally during phase 3. But then there's D0165. We put him in an acrylic box, suspended him 1,000 feet above a mine shaft, and attached a ticking bomb timer to the outside. The virus panicked and rapidly grew a tentacle-like spinneret out of his wrist. He extruded this incredibly strong, silk-like substance to physically secure his box to the suspension cable. Basically, this organism will invent whatever bizarre anatomy it needs to survive its environment. It's wild. As you can imagine, this sheer, terrifying mastery over biological manipulation has raised a lot of eyebrows in our research divisions. Right now, there's actually an official addendum on file, noting an active investigation into a potential link between this anomaly and SCP-1801. Both of them are highly fatal Keter contagions that somehow stimulate the body into producing excessive, completely aberrant organs. If we can uncover the foundation of that link, it might just give us the broader context we need to figure out how to combat and neutralize Keter-class biology in the future. But look, until some genius in a lab coat finds that neutralization method, uncompromising containment is the only option we have. Which brings us full circle, right back to the ultimate operational directive I need you to internalize before you walk out of this room. Remaining personnel are not to be evacuated under any circumstances. If SCP-016 breaches, your life is forfeit. That's the deal. You die so the rest of the world gets to live. Do you grasp the terrifying lengths this pathogen will go to just to survive? And more importantly, do you have the unwavering resolve to ensure it never, ever gets the chance? That concludes today's threat assessment on SCP-016. You're dismissed. All right, listen up, personnel. Let's get right to it. Welcome to this classified briefing. What you're about to hear is strictly for individuals with Level 4/2852 clearance. If you don't possess this clearance, you need to disconnect immediately. Today, we're doing a deep dive into one of the most insidious Keter-class threats we are currently monitoring here at the Foundation. Take a good look at the visual profile for threat designation SCP-2852. You're probably noticing the heavy redactions right off the bat, and yes, those are absolutely necessary visual countermeasures. Now, to the individuals actually infected by this entity's anomalous effects, it is universally and frankly rather jarringly referred to by the colloquial alias Cousin Johnny. It projects this perfect facade of an established, accepted family member at major gatherings, and it does this completely regardless of actual family resemblance or ethnicity. I need you to internalize this core operational directive before we go any further. Quote, "Total containment is currently impossible. Disruption is the primary directive. We cannot simply put SCP-2852 in a box. It doesn't work. All tracking devices placed on it malfunction instantly. It can literally appear between frames of surveillance footage. Because of this, our entire operational strategy has to be focused on tracking, monitoring, and mitigating the fallout." A quick message. Accessing these archives requires Level 3 clearance. Ensure your credentials are up to date by hitting the subscribe button to stay informed on future containment breaches. Back to the video. In this briefing, we're going to trace the entity's path of infection. We'll cover the threat designation and our directives, its biological profile, and then its 3 specific attack vectors. blue level targeted inception, white level targeted unification, and black level targeted termination. Finally, we'll break down the societal fallout and our containment protocols. Section 1. Threat designation and directives. So, what does our defensive posture actually look like? Across the North American subcontinent, we rely on 3 highly specialized mobile task forces. MTF Y36, designated Party Crashers, serves as our primary active strike team. They respond to any physical appearance. Backing them up are MTF's Y52, Cater Duty, and Y99, Altar Boys. Their job is identification, monitoring, and providing absolutely vital backup. Now, our surveillance focus is highly specific. SCP-2852 almost exclusively targets communities where the population is greater than 60% Roman Catholic or Anglican. We monitor these specific demographics for some stark early warning signs. We're talking uncharacteristic sudden spikes in juvenile delinquency, absolute sterility, horrific domestic violence, and soaring divorce rates. Listen, if you see these metrics spike, SCP-2855 has likely already breached the perimeter. Moving to Section 2, Biological and Anomalous Profile. I want you to really observe the biological deception at play here. While SCP-2852 is genetically identical to a baseline human, its internal structure is an absolute void. It has literally no internal organs. It's made up entirely of dense, fibrous muscular tissue. And it gets weird. Its hair and teeth are not human. They're made of chitin, chemically identical to the Cicadae family, basically cicadas. Its eyes sit in their sockets with 0 nerve connections, and while it constantly babbles in a nonsensical word salad, the affected attendees actually perceive its speech as totally normal and intelligible. Section 3. Blue Level Targeted Inception. The entity specifically targets the inception of the family unit. Let's look at baptisms. It effortlessly infiltrates the ceremony as an anomalous third godparent. The mass proceeds completely normally right up until the infant is submerged. Upon submersion, the infant's top layer of skin just sloughs off in a single piece, completely painlessly, almost like a molting insect. The biological godparents then consume this molted skin right there at the altar. And SCP-2852? It departs immediately after the Mass. It never sticks around for the after-party. Now, while the ritual itself is contained to the church, the biological aftermath is just devastating. Unaffected attendees experience a massive 500% spike in stillbirths. The child's parents and godparents are rendered permanently sterile, and universally, they will commit suicide, usually by drowning, within 5 years. The child, assuming they survive a highly elevated mortality rate, develops severe cluster B personality disorders and sociopathic tendencies. And post-adolescence, just the sound of a cicada triggers extreme, often fatal, violent outbursts in these kids. Section 4. White Level Targeted Unification. Next up, weddings. At a wedding, SCP-2852 assumes the role of a groomsman. The horror here kicks in right after the ring exchange. Using anomalous tools provided by the entity, the bridal party painlessly extracts their own teeth without shedding a single drop of blood. The bride and groom then actually consume these teeth. In place of standard vows, the groom vocalizes a deafening cicada song. Later at the reception, SCP-2852 delivers this nonsensical best man speech that induces hysterical laughter and uncontrollable crying, eventually presenting the couple with a gift box. Inside, human hair, human teeth, and 13 dead cicadas. Take a look at this number and burn it into your memory. 140. That is the exact decibel level, 140 dB, of the anomalous cicada song vocalized by the groom. This acoustic threat permanently deafens the bride and literally anyone else standing on the altar. The fallout is absolute. The bride and groom will inevitably divorce within 2 years, universally driven by extreme domestic violence. Furthermore, our own Foundation hysterectomy studies reveal that every single married attendee at that wedding is subjected to absolute sterility. We've done exhaustive biopsies and chemical analyses on extracted uterine ovaries from attendees. You know what we found? 0 biological abnormalities. The sperm and eggs are perfect. This means the sterility SCP-2852 inflicts is a conceptual erasure of fertility, not a biological defect. Section 5. Black Level Targeted Termination. Listen to me very carefully on this one. Intervention in these events is strictly prohibited. Why? Because any attempt to disrupt a Black Level event instantly forces the disruptor into becoming a participant. If you barricade the doors, SCP-2852 simply manifests sitting in a pew. It takes on the role of eulogizer. As it speaks, the next of kin produces an anomalous knife and initiates self-exsanguination, literally bleeding themselves directly into the open casket. This triggers an unstoppable cascade. Every single attendee follows suit, bleeding into the casket while universally vocalizing the male cicada mating call. The climax of the event occurs when SCP-2852 vomits a massive mixture of blood, wood pulp, and dead cicadas into the casket before it's finally buried. And the Black Level event doesn't end at the graveyard. If there's a post-funeral gathering, SCP-2852 is going to be there. It vomits that same blood and cicada mixture into a bowl, which caregivers then willingly feed to the affected children. After this, the entity strips naked and lies down on a table. The attendees then proceed to cannibalize the entity alive. The real anomaly here is psychological, just as much as it is physical. SCP-2852 maintains a friendly, albeit totally nonsensical, conversation with the family while they consume its flesh, despite suffering mortal injuries. Section 6. Societal Fallout and Containment. Our clinical data charts a clearly escalating pattern of violence across these three event tiers. After a blue-level baptism, the resulting domestic violence features severe abandonment, and child suicides almost always manifest via drowning. Following a white-level wedding, the violence turns homicidal, with 90% of children committing suicide through asphyxiation or exsanguination by age 18. But after a black-level funeral, the domestic violence becomes strictly cannibalistic, and surviving children actively attempt patricide or matricide. So, let's synthesize what we're looking at here. SCP-2852 methodically targets inception, unification, and termination. It's not just ruining a family gathering. It is actively engineering the absolute biological and psychological eradication of the entire family unit. 100% sterility rates among attendees. Total familial destruction. If you look at this population metrics graph, over generations, the inevitable conclusion is mathematically certain. As birth rates plummet to zero due to absolute conceptual sterility, violent fatalities from suicide, cannibalism, and abuse absolutely skyrocket. SCP-2852 is not merely a localized physical threat, it is a highly optimized, engineered anti-societal contagion that is utilizing foundational religious frameworks as its primary distribution vector. Because of the severe cognitive hazard this anomaly poses, strict operational security is paramount. Class A amnestics are mandatory for all operatives who witness black-level events upon their retirement or transfer. If any operative exhibits uncharacteristic antisocial behavior post-exposure, they are to be immediately suspended, amnesticized, and permanently reassigned to low-level data input. We simply cannot risk our own task forces becoming carriers for this contagion. That concludes this briefing on SCP-2852. Let me be clear. Absolute protocol adherence is not a request. It is the only thing standing between these targeted demographics and total societal collapse. Keep your eyes on the data. Watch the sterility and violence metrics, and never, under any circumstances, attempt to disrupt a black-level event. The true threat isn't just what Cousin Johnny does to a family. It's the chilling realization that by the time we even arrive on the scene, the erasure has already begun. Are we truly holding the line or just sweeping up the ashes? End of file. Connection severed. Alright, listen up. We're diving straight into this highly classified explainer briefing. You're in this room because you've either secured level 3 clearance or somebody high up signed off on a restricted command waiver. So welcome to the Foundation. Let's get one thing straight right out of the gate. Understanding what we're going over today isn't some academic exercise. It is quite literally a matter of life and death. The anomaly we're looking at is deceptive, it's highly lethal, and its biology is, well, it's deeply unsettling. Pay close attention to the intel we're pulling up because your survival is absolutely going to depend on recognizing these parameters. Here's how this explainer breaks down. We'll hit the threat classification, move into containment mandates, cover the physical anomalies, and wrap up with the historical incident report. A quick message. Accessing these archives requires level 3 clearance. Ensure your credentials are up to date by hitting the subscribe button to stay informed on future containment breaches. Back to the video. First up, Section 1, Threat Classification. Object Class, Euclid. Now, because of that Euclid tag, you need to understand this anomaly is inherently unpredictable. We can't just lock it in a standard box, throw away the key, and forget about it. No, it requires constant vigilance, active energy inputs, and incredibly strict operational protocols just to maintain the illusion that we're in control. So what exactly is SCP-002? Essentially, it's this massive, tumorous, fleshy growth. It clocks in at about 60 cubic meters, roughly 2,000 cubic feet for perspective. But honestly, its physical size is completely secondary to its primary function. It's a biological mechanism that actively converts living human beings into structural furnishings. It doesn't kill you to eat you, it kills you to decorate. Moving to Section 2, Containment Mandates. These are your absolute survival protocols. Look, I cannot stress this enough. Deviating from these rules will result in your immediate termination. That is, assuming the anomaly doesn't get to you first. Let's talk about emergency procedures during a power outage. SCP-002 has to stay connected to a suitable power supply at all times to keep it in what we call our recharging mode. But if the facility goes dark, you have to execute this exact sequence without a second of hesitation. Step 1, you close the emergency barrier. Step 2, evacuate the immediate area completely. Step 3, you blast the area with alternating bursts of X-ray and ultraviolet light, continuously strobing it until the grid is back up. Oh, and the containment area? It has to be kept at negative air pressure at all times. The absolute bottom line here is that the subject can never, under any circumstances, be allowed to wake up from its dormant state. Which brings us to the strict engagement rules for approaching the anomaly. If you are stepping within 20 meters of SCP-002, you're going in with a team of at least 2 personnel. Minimum. Why? Because you have to maintain continuous physical contact with your partner. I'm serious. The closer you get to it, the more the anomaly actively dulls, skews, and just totally messes with human perception. That physical touch is your only tether, your only confirmation that reality is still intact, and you haven't just wandered off alone. Like we covered, Level 3 clearance is the bare minimum to even be in the room. If someone from command needs a waiver, they're getting heavily escorted by 5 guards, temporarily surrendering their rank, and submitting to a mandatory 72-hour quarantine and psych eval. And that eval happens at least 5 kilometers away from the site. No exceptions. Let's hit Section 3, Physical Anomalies. We'll look at the internal and external structure. Brace yourselves for this part, because the deeply unsettling juxtaposition of how this thing looks is exactly how it lures people inside. From the outside, like we said, it's just this grotesque, fleshy, tumor-like mass. But bolted right into the side of this biological nightmare is a totally mundane iron valve hatch. And here's where it gets really weird. When you open that hatch and look inside, all that biological exterior just vanishes. It gives way to the perfect illusion of a standard, slightly dingy low-rent apartment. Even crazier, one of the walls inside has a window. But if you look at the mass from the outside, there is no opening. It's a spatial impossibility. It's literally a perfectly crafted trap designed to disarm you. Now, let's take a look at how exactly the anomaly furnishes this trap. Because when you look closely, the objects inside this apartment are absolutely not what they seem. Check out these material origins. We've got 2 lamps, a throw rug, a television, a radio, a beanbag chair, 4 children's toys, and a small potted plant. Not a single one of them was manufactured in a factory. They are meticulously sculpted out of bone, woven hair, and various biological substances produced by the human body. Lab testing confirmed it. Every single piece of matter inside that room shows independent or fragmented human DNA sequences. The entire room is built out of the remains of its victims. So why does this matter? Well, the Foundation ran incredibly extensive tests using all sorts of lab animals, right up to higher primates. Absolutely zero response. Then, we introduced deceased human cadavers into the structure. Still nothing. The anomaly just ignored them entirely. Dead tissue and non-human biology do not trigger its transfiguration process. It wants living humans. Which brings us to Section 4, the Historical Incident Report, specifically the Mulehausen discovery. We aren't studying this just for a history lesson. We're looking at it as a textbook case study in catastrophic operational failure. Let's walk through this timeline, because the escalation was fast and extremely deadly. It all started when SCP-002 struck the Earth from orbit, encased in this thick shell of rock, and left a crater in northern Portugal. The Foundation picked up a radioactive anomaly and sent General Mulehausen to investigate. He got there and immediately started making critical errors. First, he recruited 3 local villagers for quote-unquote testing. He sent them all inside and they vanished. Realizing what he was dealing with, Mulehausen went straight to brutal information suppression. He actually issued a termination order for roughly a third of the village just to ensure secrecy. But the disaster didn't stop there. While they were prepping it for transport, 4 of our own Foundation security personnel were inexplicably drawn inside and completely vanished. When they inspected the interior after that, the room had suddenly grown several brand new furnishings. At that point, Command had to step in. General Mulhausen was terminated, and SCP-002 was finally locked down under the strict, re-secured containment protocols we use today. Take a hard look at this number, 7. That is the total number of Foundation personnel permanently lost to SCP-002. And to be clear, that doesn't even count the villagers. We were talking about our own security staff, highly trained individuals who got caught in the anomaly's perceptual distortion and got turned into a lamp, or a rug, or a kid's toy. Let that sink in. Use it as a grim, ever-present warning for every single one of you attending this explainer briefing. We're going to wrap up this briefing with a clinical observation pulled straight from our formal description logs. Whatever process the subject uses to convert organic matter into furnishings is apparently only facilitated by the introduction of living humans. Right now, it's just waiting in the dark. It's tethered to our power grids, disguised as an empty, low-rent apartment. But make no mistake about it, the room is always waiting for its next piece of furniture. Don't let it be you. That concludes this explainer briefing on SCP-002. You are dismissed. All right, listen up personnel. Welcome to your classified orientation. You're officially assigned to high-level Foundation security now, and as such, you need a comprehensive briefing on the anomaly you are now sworn to guard, SCP-022. I'm here to walk you through the precise mechanics of this site. We've got to make absolutely sure you understand exactly what you're dealing with today, so you actually survive your deployment. Let's get right into it. You know, I'm sure you've all seen those internal broadcasts, right? The plush mascots, the spotless control rooms, that highly structured bureaucracy you see in all the Foundation propaganda. It looks incredibly orderly, doesn't it? Well, do yourselves a favor and discard that comfort right now. The reality of your new assignment is severely dangerous, wildly unpredictable, and frankly, decidedly less cuddly. So, for today's briefing, we're going to cover object class and containment, the site description, the entity designation, our termination and expiration protocols, and we'll wrap up with the anomalous matter transfer investigations. Starting right off with Section 1, Object Class and Containment. Now, this site is officially classified as a Euclid anomaly. What does that mean for you? It means its behavior is inherently unpredictable. You can't just lock this thing in a box, walk away, and forget about it. No way. It mandates absolute, ongoing, active adherence to our containment procedures if we want to prevent a massive security breach. To actually maintain that containment, we installed a massive vault door. This happened right after Incident 022-82, a little event that completely destroyed the original door, which, by the way, we still haven't been able to replace. So if an entity breaches this new vault door, there are 3 sequential steps that must be executed without a single moment of hesitation. Step 1. Automated systems trigger an immediate incineration the exact second an entity exits. Step 2. Only after that incineration is complete, the vault unlocks for the cleanup crews. And Step 3. If those automated systems fail for any reason, well, the response teams, yeah, that's you, are clear to enter and neutralize the target. Which brings us to the absolutely crucial point of your standing orders. Under no circumstances may any living human enter SCP-022. Let me repeat that. You do not cross that threshold. You do not step one single foot inside unless you have explicit, fully documented Class 4 authorization for testing purposes. And trust me, we are going to discuss exactly why that is in just a minute. Moving on to Section 2, Site Description for SCP-022. So, your physical assignment is a morgue, tucked away down in the basement of a hospital over in Great Britain. Now, this place operated completely normally until the 1980s. Sometime around November, reports of strange activity started bubbling up. In normal medical operations, they abruptly ceased when that anomalous activity forced our immediate quarantine of the entire building. We pushed out a cover story saying the hospital was condemned, and the Foundation stepped in and took total control. So what exactly is going on inside that quarantined basement? Well, the anomaly operates on this really grim, almost mechanical schedule. Just totally at random, a morgue drawer will slide open, revealing a cadaver lying under a sheet. And then, you wait. Exactly 6 minutes elapse. Not 5, not 7, 6. Once those 6 minutes are up, the cadaver animates and attempts to leave the morgue. Now, it isn't always successful. In some cases, the entity is just too damaged or decomposed to actually get up off the table. When that happens, it's just going to violently struggle and twitch until it eventually expires. After that, the table just slides right back into the drawer and it shuts on its own. And a quick heads up, reports clearly indicate that the distinct scent of burnt tissue is super evident right after one of these failed events. Next up, Section 3, Entity Designation, SCP-022-1. The biology of SCP-022-1 is, well, fascinatingly impossible. These entities completely defy all known biological requirements. I mean, we have detected absolutely zero energy source sustaining them. None. They don't breathe, they don't eat, they don't sleep, and they produce literally zero internal body heat. But here's the kicker. Once they expire, our analysis shows no abnormal organs or chemicals whatsoever. For all intents and purposes, they revert to being completely normal human cadavers. But hey, do not let their decomposed state fool you for a second. They possess a truly terrifying strength enhancement. Our researchers estimate they're capable of outputting around 500 newtons. That's over 112 pounds of lifting force, greater than what a normal human in that physical condition should realistically be capable of. Bottom line, a rotting arm can absolutely still break your jaw. So, you might be wondering, where do they even come from? Well, internal tracking and investigations have confirmed that these aren't just manifested or spontaneously generated bodies. They actually match the exact descriptions of cadavers stolen from totally normal morgues across the entire country. Somehow, some way, bodies stolen from elsewhere are being routed directly into this specific basement. Alright, let's look at Section 4, Termination and Expiration Protocols. Listen closely here. If an entity breaches the vault and you are actually forced to engage, you need to take your standard tactical combat doctrine and throw it right out the window. Conventional cranial trauma? Entirely useless. Destroying the head or the brain does not neutralize an instance of SCP-022-1. The torso and limbs will literally just keep coming at you. If you sever a body part, the piece with the greatest mass is the one that retains animation, while the smaller pieces just go inert. Because of this, complete and total tissue destruction is absolutely mandatory. And honestly, that's exactly why our primary countermeasure here is that automated incinerator. Now, on the flip side, if they are successfully contained within the vault and just left entirely alone, they do actually have a natural expiration rate. Eventually, all that motion will cease and they revert back into normal, inanimate cadavers. Depending on how damaged the body is and its rate of decomposition, this expiration can take anywhere from 2 days to 3 weeks. And guys, I need to issue a severe warning regarding your deployment here. Be advised, if an instance of SCP-002-1 has an intact mouth, tongue, and trachea, it is fully capable of communication. They can speak to you. Under no circumstances are you to engage in conversation with them, period. It's an incredibly unnerving experience, I know, but you must maintain your discipline. Finally, we arrive at Section 5, Anomalous Matter Transfer Investigations. So, trying to add any new matter to SCP-022 has proven to be completely impossible. Anything, and I mean anything, biological specimens, inanimate objects, testing equipment, if you place it inside the morgue, it simply vanishes without a single trace shortly after passing through the doorway. But it doesn't just disappear forever. Exactly 183 seconds later, that displaced matter violently reappears in the room directly above the anomaly. We verified this timing over and over again. 183 seconds, down to the exact millisecond. And it's not pretty. All recovered materials are ejected in a severely degraded state. When our teams investigate the pile in the room above, we find that any metallic components are covered in incredibly heavy rust, and any biological parts are in highly advanced stages of decomposition. Basically, the morgue aggressively rejects and rapidly accelerates the decay of any foreign objects. But hey, do you remember that strict prohibition we talked about earlier? The one against living humans entering the anomaly? Well, the true hazard of your assignment lies in the confirmed fate of living humans who actually cross that threshold. Because, as Addendum 002 chillingly points out, humans who enter, however, do not appear in said pile. They are never ever recovered in the debris in the room above. Instead, any living humans who enter become completely integrated into the morgue itself. They just disappear into the system, waiting in the pitch black to one day animate on the very slabs you are now sworn to guard, re-emerging as a brand new instance of SCP-022-1. So, as you go out there and take your post outside that massive vault door, you really have to ask yourself, when that drawer slides open and a body rises, is it a stolen cadaver, or is it the security guard who had your exact shift last year? Study these briefing materials, follow your protocols to the letter, and whatever you do, absolutely do not open that door. Dismissed. Alright, listen up. Welcome to this highly classified Foundation briefing. I'll be walking you through this explainer on the active protocols and current threat assessment regarding an anomalous location currently designated as Euclid. Give me your full attention because the information we're going over today is absolutely critical for your survival and the continued security of the Foundation. Here is the agenda for today's briefing. We've got 5 sections to cover: secure containment procedures, inside the soundstage, rules of the game, winners, losers, and prizes, and finally, unresolved security threats. Let's get moving. Section 1. Secure containment procedures. Look, because of its physical nature, we can't exactly pack up SCP-024 and ship it to a secure site. So we had to bring the secure site to it. To hide the real anomaly, the Foundation built 5 identical physical replicas right around the active compound. It's basically a giant shell game. We've got separate security teams guarding the decoys and the real deal, and only the team leaders actually know which is which. The true compound, it's locked down tight. We're talking magnetically sealed blast doors, heavy armored walls, the whole shebang. And if things go totally sideways, we've got specialized demolition charges planted everywhere to ensure total destruction, not taking any chances here. Alright, regarding access protocols, you are going to enforce these to the letter. Step 1. No security or research staff goes inside, ever. Only D-Class personnel cross that threshold, and only for research. Step 2. All Foundation researchers stay out of harm's way in a remote observation lab. And Step 3, and I need you to hear this loud and clear, if anybody tries to leave that observation lab or sneak into the anomaly without Level 4 approval, you stop them. Lethal force and immediate termination are pre-authorized. No warnings, no exceptions. Moving on to Section 2, inside the soundstage. So what exactly are we dealing with? Physically, SCP-024 is an abandoned soundstage. It belonged to a known entity and has been sitting empty since at least 19 redacted. We actually found the thing right in the middle of a civilian zone. Some trespassing teenagers managed to break in, and only one of them made it out alive. This teenage girl turned herself in to the local police, claiming she was a quote-unquote winner. Well, you can bet that testimony alone got Foundation assets mobilized, immediately to lock the place down. Now, the second anyone steps inside that facility, they get greeted over an intercom by this anonymous, highly sentient announcer. Here is the exact standard ultimatum, word for word. Welcome, contestants. You are about to take part in a game show in which the winners will win fabulous prizes. But be warned, the game will be extremely hazardous, and the losers will never leave. Let that sink in for a second. It's a completely bizarre juxtaposition. You've got this overly cheery game show host dictating absolute terms of life and death. The rules for entering are pretty cut and dry. This announcer gives every single entrant a choice right out of the gate. Play the game or leave. If you decline, you're immediately expelled from the building. But here's the catch. Whether you back out or you actually play and win, you can never, ever go back inside. An impenetrable, completely invisible barrier goes up at the entrance, permanently locking out anyone who's already been through the doors. Right. Section 3. Rules of the game. Once inside, the contestants are funneled into this massive, elaborate obstacle course. Now the layout, the specific rules, the theme, it all changes every single playthrough. But the escalation, that's always the same. Phase 1 starts off with incredibly benign obstacles. Child's play, really. But the announcer keeps chiming in, giving advice, suddenly changing the rules on the fly. Which brings us to Phase 2. The traps become extremely hazardous, life-threatening. By the time they hit Phase 3, the course is just a meat grinder, completely lethal. It's totally standard for our entire pool of D-Class contestants to be wiped out. And when they all die, the announcer just sighs, sounds a bit sad about it, the lights cut out, and the whole course resets for the next batch of victims. So what stops someone from just cheating their way to the end? Well, say hello to the Studio Guardians. These are violent enforcement entities that the announcer summons at will. At a glance, they might look like guys wearing costumes that match whatever the theme of the day is, but survivors tell a much darker story. Up close, these things don't really have a defined shape. They're described as these towering, shadowy humanoid figures with face-concealing masks and absolute superhuman strength. If a contestant even thinks about breaking the rules, like trying to bypass a trap or attacking another player, the response is immediate, extreme violence. The announcer calls out the cheater over the intercom. Instantly, the studio guardians manifest out of thin air, completely engulf the offender, and violently eject them from the course. And just to be clear, anyone removed like this, they're erased, gone, never seen again. Next up, Section 4. Winners, losers, and prizes. The endgame here is a pretty wild dichotomy. If a contestant actually manages to win, the lights snap off, and boom, they instantly reappear outside the compound. And they're holding a grand prize. But the weird part? The prizes are completely mundane. Stacks of cash, flat-screen TVs, a new car, all-inclusive vacations. None of it has any anomalous properties whatsoever. On the flip side, if you survive the whole brutal physical course, but you fail to finish in first place, you're officially a loser. The lights go out, and you just disappear from the soundstage entirely. Which brings us to a very specific number, 12. See, during one of our tests with Group D245, we rigged 12 D-Class personnel with top-of-the-line Foundation GPS locator beacons. We wanted to see exactly where this thing dumps the losers. Well, the exact second the game ended and those 12 losers vanished, all 12 GPS signals flatlined, simultaneously. We still don't know if the beacons were physically destroyed or if these people are getting teleported to a location completely outside the reach of our satellite tracking network. Finally, Section 5. Unresolved security threats. This brings us to the blind spots. First off, the entity we call the announcer is highly sentient. We actually sent a single researcher, Dr. Redacted, inside by himself. Since there was nobody else to compete against, the announcer didn't even start a game. It just struck up a casual conversation with the doctor, showing off a seriously deep knowledge of television and pop culture. It is clearly intercepting our broadcasts, but here's the part that should keep you security teams awake at night. We have literally cut all power lines, severed all signal cables, and stripped every wireless receiver from that compound. It changes absolutely nothing. The anomaly runs perfectly with zero external power. When the announcer finally realized there wouldn't be a game, it just politely asked the doctor to leave and come back when he had some friends to play with. Now listen closely to this final detail. Every single time a game wraps up, a pristine VHS tape or a DVD just magically materializes in the physical mailbox right outside the compound's main entrance. We've checked them. They contain a flawless, professionally edited recording of the entire bloodbath that just happened. But here's the thing. Survivors swear up and down there are zero visible cameras anywhere inside that obstacle course. Nothing. And even crazier, the audio tracks on these tapes are packed with the roars and cheers of a massive live studio audience. An audience that is completely invisible and completely silent to the poor souls actually running for their lives inside. So that leaves us with one hell of an unresolved threat, the ultimate blind spot, and the question you need to keep firmly in mind while you're out there walking the perimeter. If there are absolutely no cameras inside that soundstage, and the contestants never see or hear a single spectator, who exactly is watching this broadcast? And worse, what are they going to do if we ever cancel their favorite show? Keep your eyes open out there. Dismissed. Alright, let's get started. Welcome, security personnel and facility commanders, to this formal explainer. We are here today to review the severe threat profile of SCP-035. I'll be your narrator for this briefing, and I need you to listen closely, because the protocols we're outlining here, they're absolute. This is a mandatory Keter class review, and there is zero room for error. Here is the SITP for today. We're going to cover 4 phases. 1. Threat identification. 2. The psychological vector. 3. Containment degradation. And 4. Security mandates. Grasping these 4 phases is, quite literally, a matter of life and death for anyone stationed at this facility. Alright, Phase 1, Threat Identification. Let's get into what we're actually dealing with here. So, SCP-035, we're talking about a Keter-class entity that was originally pulled out of an 1800 and redacted sealed crypt inside some abandoned house in Venice, Italy. Now remember, that Keter designation isn't handed out lightly. It denotes a highly unpredictable, intensely hostile containment scenario. It means we need eyes on it constantly. On the surface, the object just looks like a standard, pristine white porcelain comedy mask. But, without any warning whatsoever, it will violently and spontaneously shift states into a cracked, weeping tragedy mask.
And when it does this, a terrifying retroactive anomaly kicks in. Every single existing visual record, we're talking photographs, video footage, even hand-drawn illustrations, they all automatically warp to reflect its new appearance. It literally corrupts our records instantaneously. But the physical danger goes way beyond just messing with our cameras. There's this highly corrosive, viscous black liquid constantly seeping from the entity's eye and mouth holes. And the way this stuff degrades material is all over the map. Glass actually reacts the slowest, which, as you'll see, directly informs how we contain it. Living organisms, on the other hand, they suffer immediate accelerated decay, zero chance of recovery upon contact. The craziest part is we have absolutely no idea where this liquid comes from, and strangely, you can only even see it from the front of the mask. Moving on to Phase 2, the psychological vector. Commanders, I need you to pay strict attention to this proximity alert. Just standing within 1.5 to 2 meters of it, so about 5 to 6 feet, or even just making direct visual contact triggers an overwhelming psychological urge to put the mask on. If someone actually places it on their face, an alternate brainwave pattern immediately overwrites the host's. The original consciousness is completely snuffed out, resulting in instantaneous brain death. The subject's body then rots at a highly accelerated rate until it's basically a mummified corpse. But the kicker? The entity retains total cognitive and mechanical control over that rotting tissue. And do not, under any circumstances, underestimate the cognitive threat here. Intelligence reports confirm SCP-035 has scored in the 99th percentile on literally every intelligence and aptitude test we've thrown at it. It appears to have a photographic memory too. So don't be fooled if it acts amiable or flatters you during an authorized interview. It possesses a terrifying intellect. It's incredibly charismatic, fully telepathic, and it effortlessly penetrates the subconscious of anyone it converses with. It's basically mining your own memories to use them against you. Its manipulation tactics are meticulously sadistic. It can force sudden, profound changes to a person's psychological state using just linguistic persuasion, just talking. It's prompted mass suicides among our research staff, organized violent insurrections, escape attempts, you name it. And the absolute worst part, it doesn't even need a living human host to do damage. It is fully capable of animating mannequins, corpses, and statues to inflict physical violence on its behalf. Okay, Phase 3, Containment Degradation. This is where things get really bad. This is probably the most critical part of our briefing today. Over the last few months, paranormal phenomena inside the containment sector have violently escalated. Let's look at the timeline. Addendum 06 noted unintelligible whispering and severe migraines among the staff. By Addendum 07, the cell walls were literally secreting human blood. Addendum 09 details our disastrous attempt to use an SCP-148 coding, which just created a deadly greenhouse effect. And finally, Addendum 11 documents complete electronic failure and visual apparitions. Let's break down exactly what this looks like on the ground. So the walls of the containment cell started secreting human blood, right? But it wasn't just pooling, it was forming these highly complex sacrifice diagrams, alongside paragraphs written in Italian, Latin, Greek, and Sanskrit. As you can imagine, this caused catastrophic morale damage across the sector. Why? Because these diagrams specifically depicted the ritualistic mutilation of our own facility personnel and their loved ones. And any researcher assigned to examine these walls was continually subjected to loud whispering and this unnerving, high-pitched laughter from literally nowhere. At the exact same time, the degradation of its immediate glass case dangerously accelerated. The glass now just spontaneously shatters, abruptly spraying that highly corrosive black contaminant all over the room. And here's the bottom line. This sudden shattering has directly resulted in 6 casualties and 3 fatalities among our research and cleanup crews. 3 people dead, just from the glass giving out. So, in response to this escalating madness, High Command tried to get clever. They coded the cell with SCP-148, hoping to block the entity's telepathic negativity. Well, that catastrophically backfired. It created this verifiable greenhouse effect that basically trapped and amplified all that dread right inside the room. Now, if you enter the cell, the symptoms are brutal. Severe migraines, intense suicidal tendencies, heavy hemorrhaging from the blood vessels around your eyes, mouth, and nose. And within 3 hours of exposure, you're looking at a deep, inescapable psychosis where victims actively try to murder themselves or their colleagues. And to make matters worse, this hostile environment is actively eating our infrastructure. That contaminated blood saturating the cell walls, it's become shockingly corrosive. We are currently registering an extreme pH level of 2.4. Because of this insane acidity, the containment environment is virtually impossible to manage.
I mean, we're seeing physical appendages made of blood literally forming out of puddles to grab and harm our personnel. The cell doors are self-locking on their own accord, trapping panicked staff inside. All electronic devices, lights included, fail entirely. That plunges our cleanup crews into pitch darkness, forcing them to rely on non-electric light sources. The structural degradation is so severe now that the room's walls need full replacement within 7 days. 7 days at best. Which brings us to Phase 4, Security Mandates. Look, given the apocalyptic degradation of the site, physical containment now requires 4 non-negotiable steps. 1. SCP-035 must be kept inside a hermetically sealed glass case, no fewer than 10 centimeters thick. 2. That case goes inside a steel, iron, and lead-shielded room. 3. The primary doors are to be triple locked at all times. 4. Every 2 weeks, the entity is moved to a new glass case, and the highly contaminated old case must be disposed of via SCP-101. Oh, and a trained psychologist must remain on site at all times. Period. As for the mandatory personnel rules, they are as follows. A minimum of 2 armed guards must be posted outside the room at all times. And I want to be crystal clear here, they are never, under any circumstances, to cross the threshold into that room. There is an absolute ban on entering the containment area without full hazmat protection, and because the risk of telepathic compromise is so high, we are mandating extreme rotation frequency for all personnel dealing with the anomaly, plus immediate psychological evaluations for anyone who makes contact with it. Now, I need to firmly and unequivocally shut down a recurring issue coming from the research staff. There is an absolute denial of host privileges. We've had several insubordinate requests asking to grant SCP-035 a temporary host just to study its behavioral changes. Let me be clear, those motions are permanently denied. Furthermore, under no circumstances is this entity to be brought anywhere near regenerative anomalies like SCP-4715 or SCP-682. Think about it. If SCP-035 successfully bonded with an unkillable entity, their regenerative qualities would totally negate the mask's decay. It would have a permanent host, creating a literal apocalyptic threat vector. So, no, it's not happening. Alright, we're wrapping up, but I'm going to leave you with a pretty grim reality. Even with our most desperate cleaning and reinforcement efforts, the current containment walls have an estimated lifespan of exactly 2 months before they catastrophically fail. SCP-035 is destroying its cage faster than we can rebuild it. So I leave you, commanders, with this crucial, provocative thought. What happens when those walls finally give way? You need to start preparing yourselves right now for the inevitable reality of deploying a completely new, entirely isolated containment facility. Review your protocols. Dismissed. Alright, listen up. We're skipping the pleasantries today. What you are about to hear is classified Level 4 Foundation intelligence. I'm your briefing officer, and this session covers Keter-class anomaly SCP-6448. This isn't just another routine debrief. This is highly restricted operational intel, and honestly, getting this into your head is literally a matter of field survival. If you're operating anywhere in or near the Appalachian containment zones, failing to comprehend this threat means you won't be coming back. So let's get into it. A quick message. Accessing these archives requires Level 3 clearance. Ensure your credentials are up to date by hitting the subscribe button to stay informed on future containment breaches. Back to the video. Here is how we're breaking this down today. We'll proceed systematically through threat identification, physical anomalies, predatory behavior, the service protocol, run through some civilian encounter logs, and finally, we'll conclude with a debrief on Incident 6448-Alpha. Starting right off with Section 1, Threat Identification. So, SCP-6448. Locals in the region colloquially call it the Not Deer. It's a Keter class, highly sapient branch of the Cervidae family. Now, notice that Keter classification. That means it is exceedingly difficult to contain consistently. These entities mimic non-anomalous deer, sure, but they are absolute apex predators that actively stalk humans. Right now, all civilian sightings are being intercepted by Mobile Task Force Gamma 4, the Green Stags. Anytime there's a public fatality, we cover it up immediately as a tragic hiking accident, and widespread sightings are officially blamed on outbreaks of chronic wasting disease. Knowing the difference between standard wildlife and this anomaly is an absolutely vital survival skill. Standard Cervidae, your typical elk, moose, or white-tailed deer, possess completely normal biological structures, they have a natural fear of humans, and they move strictly on 4 legs. SCP-6448 instances, on the other hand, display severe, impossible anatomical malformations. They have zero fear of us, engaging in highly calculated, sapient stalking behaviors, and get this, they are fully capable of moving upright on two legs. Moving on to Section 2, Physical Anomalies. You need to memorize this list right now. These are your visual identification markers in the field. Instances frequently show up with legs that bend completely backwards. You'll see a barrel-chested or heavily bloated abdomen on a body that is otherwise extremely emaciated. And honestly, perhaps most disturbingly, they feature forward-facing eyes, often belonging to entirely unrelated animals. And yes, that includes humans. When they move, it's just wrong. It's very jerky, stiff, and uncoordinated. To really underscore how severe these physical distortions are, review this case file extract from June 2002. A civilian reported a home break-in where firearms and cutlery were systematically stolen, but there wasn't a single broken lock or fingerprint left behind. We analyzed the recovered, heavily corrupted CCTV footage, and it captured a sick deer standing completely upright on its hind legs. The footage clearly showed its front hooves had been physically warped and elongated to function like human fingers. All right, Section 3, Predatory Behavior. Back in November 2005, a cattle farmer called in a panic about the sudden, inexplicable disappearance of 30% of his largest herd. We set up trail cameras and later caught 2 SCP-648 instances just methodically walking through the field. Then, one of them stopped and planted a single metal fork right into the earth. 1 week later, 200 discarded cow hooves were found piled up in that exact location. It was leaving us a message. Their predatory cycle is chillingly methodical. SCP-6448 won't just attack, it will observe and pursue human targets for hours, sometimes days, through deep woodland. They will follow you directly to your private residence, actively stealing belongings, food, and uniquely, your weapons to disarm you. They frequently mimic human voices, coughing or whistling to lure targets off the established trails. But here is the most critical detail. Direct acknowledgement of the entity's anomalous traits triggers immediate, lethal hostility. Which brings us to Section 4, the Service Protocol. If you run into an instance in the field, these steps are non-negotiable. Step 1. Look away and ignore the entity entirely. Step 2. If you hear your name being called from the trees or hear whispering or whistling, do not acknowledge it. Do not look for it. Step 3. Even if you feel something breathing on your neck in the dark, you must pretend that everything is absolutely normal. Treating the entity as if it is a standard, non-anomalous deer triggers no reaction. Acknowledging what it actually is guarantees your termination. The Cryptozoology Division put it perfectly in their documentation, distilling it down to this absolute directive. Your survival is dependent on your ignorance. Let that sink in. Let's look at Section 5, Civilian Encounter Logs. Reviewing 911 dispatch records reveals exactly how this threat escalates when civilians fail to adhere to protocol. The Foundation continuously monitors and extracts evidence from these public encounters. In 2000, a victim got lured into the brush by a screaming voice and only narrowly escaped because they ignored the stationary anomaly. We've already discussed the 2002 tool theft. In 2009, a caller reported a violently contorting deer. Our recovered footage showed a viscous black mass erupting right out of the animal before the feed cut out. 2012, a junior wildlife officer vanished completely after radioing his supervisor about a deer with backwards joints. When backup arrived, only his radio remained. And in 2016, a victim managed to barricade herself inside a wardrobe before an instance completely breached her home's front door. During that 2016 home invasion, the dispatch tape captured the entities shaking the doorknob, just calmly and repeatedly stating in a stolen human voice,
"Hello, it is me. Hello, let me in."
When it finally breached the bedroom, it dropped from a bipedal stance down into a quadrupedal crouch, moving like a giant arachnid. The feed ended with a single gunshot. Neither the victim nor the entity were ever recovered. Finally, Section 6, Incident 6448-Alpha. In November 2019, we actually managed to successfully detain an instance using experimental shock rifles and transported it overseas to Site 44 on Foulness Island, England. During the initial interrogation by cryptozoology specialist Oz, the entity was facing away from the reinforced one-way glass. Suddenly, it swiveled its neck a full 180 degrees. It shattered its own cervical vertebrae with a loud crack, just to lock unbroken eye contact with the researcher through what was supposed to be a one-way mirror. Researcher Oz pushed the interrogation, demanding to know why the genus takes humans. Suddenly, the entity stopped its choking vocalizations. It projected a distorted, perfectly mimicked version of researcher Oz's own voice. And it said,
Research, July 7, 1947.
That date corresponds exactly to the very first recorded civilian reports of SCP-6448. This anomaly possessed advanced cognitive awareness, not just of human speech, but of the Foundation's own classified historical data regarding its discovery. Right after it made that statement, its physical form just collapsed. The instance violently contorted and screamed. A thick, black tendrilous mass erupted directly out of the entity's abdomen. What was left of the cervid carcass on the floor was completely hollow. It was essentially just wearing a discarded biological suit. That black mass moved with terrifying speed, shattered the 20-inch thick, reinforced glass, breached the sector lockdown doors, and escaped entirely into the English countryside. A 2-month search yielded absolutely nothing. Which leaves us with this very grim operational reality. Following Incident 6448-Alpha, there's been an unprecedented local surge in chronic wasting disease-afflicted deer, along with a massive influx of UFO reports surrounding Site 44 in Essex. So, the ultimate question you need to ask yourselves before deploying is this: has the SCP-6448 threat irreversibly expanded beyond the Appalachian Containment Zone? Review this data, learn the physical markers, and whatever you do, rely on the service protocol. Your survival out there truly depends on it. End transmission.
This concludes today's briefing. If you wish to maintain your current clearance level and ensure continued access to the Versarian database, a subscription to this channel is mandatory. Secure your connection by leaving a like on this file, and log your requests in the comments section below to dictate which anomaly we unseal next. Stay vigilant and expect your next set of logs every day. Secure, contain, protect.